I promise you that we on this program will continue to hammer the Republican Party and Donald Trump. That is a commitment that we will keep. They are the worst. They are the absolute worst. But we are also going to spend a lot of time on this week's show talking about reforming the Democratic Party. We're going to do that for a couple reasons. One, there have been a number of news stories about it, so it's in the news cycle. And two, it is imperative that we defeat the Republicans. We can't defeat the Republicans with a compromised Democratic Party. Lastly, three, there are some votes coming up in the next few weeks that we will be covering here having to do with internal reform at the Democratic Party. So we need to be talking about how to democratize that party, because right now, like it or not, and frankly I don't, we live in a two-party system. So we either reform and remake that party, or we're stuck in a kind of terrible malaise. So what I want to do for you now is play an audio clip. This is from The Intercept. The Intercept obtained a recording from a candidate, someone who is running in a Democratic Party. His name is Levi Tillman, and Levi Tillman had a meeting with Steny Hoyer, a very popular, or I should say very powerful House Democrat, second ranking in the House Democratic structure. Representative Steny Hoyer and Levi Tillman met, and Steny Hoyer encouraged this candidate to drop out of the race because he was backing someone else. He was backing someone named Jason Crow, who is a corporate lawyer who the party decided it wanted to throw its weight behind. So I think we'll start out by playing some of that secretly recorded audio between candidate Levi Tillman and Steny Hoyer. Let's start by playing that recording first.
You guys are shoveling money at him.
We're going to continue.
You're going to continue to do it?
We are going to continue to do it. And the reason, Levi, we're going to do it is because a decision was made to focus. It was clear that was our policy and our hope that we could early on try to come to an agreement on a candidate that we thought could win the general. And to give that candidate all the help we could give them so that we would have a unified effort going into a general election.
Which means, effectively, Congressman Hoyer, I'm running a campaign against Crow and against you and against the DCCC because you guys are on Crow's side.
Yeah. You know, frankly, that happens in life all the time.
So, look, here, I don't know how well you could hear that, sorry about the audio, but basically Levi Tillman is saying, so I'm not just running against another candidate, I'm running against the DCCC, because Steny Hoyer is saying we made the decision to pick a candidate who would win, and he says, so I'm running against you guys too, Levi Tillman says, and Steny Hoyer says, yeah, it happens all the time. So here's the problem with that, other than the cynicism. Number one, Steny Hoyer says, well, we do this all the time. We pick candidates that have a better chance of winning in the general. Well, the Democratic Party establishment wouldn't know how to pick a winning candidate if it fell in their laps. The fact is, the record of picking winning candidates is absolutely ghastly. They always pick the same kinds of people, corporate lawyers or people with a lot of money or people who worked in the national security establishment or what have you. They don't tend to pick people who are, how shall we put it, agents of change. They certainly don't pick that kind of people. In this case, they've decided to back a corporate lawyer. So first of all, you know, this notion, this attitude that Steny Hoyer adopts, which is, well, we know what's best. We know how to pick a winning candidate. No, you don't. You're actually not even competent at picking winning candidates. Steny Hoyer goes on to say, staying out of primaries, and I'm quoting him, staying out of primaries sounds small d democratic, very intellectual and very interesting. But he goes on to say, but the result would be, quote, somebody wins in the primary who can't possibly win in the general. Secondly, again, Steny Hoyer, you have no idea who can win in a general election. I would never take you to the racetrack in a million years, unless it was to bet against you. Also, by the way, this kind of sneering at democracy is really kind of stunning. Staying out of primaries sounds all very, intellectual, a very interesting, small d democratic. Yeah, you're supposed to be a democratically run party, and there are some of us who won't rest until you are. Now, was House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi horrified at this violation of protocol? No. She called it, quote, a conversation about the realities of life. Well, again, the realities of life have been that until the horror of Trump came along, Democrats didn't know how to win elections. They had lost 1,000 seats collectively in state legislatures. They had lost the House, which they had won. They had lost the Senate. They had lost 2/3 of governorships, 2/3 of state houses. So, you know, the Democrats, I am willing to be lectured about the realities of life, but only by people who know the realities of life and can maneuver through the realities of life, which I would argue today's Democratic Party cannot. Now, Leader Pelosi said some good things. She said, what's important in all of this is that 1 in 5 children in America lives in poverty, goes to sleep hungry. That's what makes this election so urgent for our children. So if the reality is that some candidates can't get into the general, then that's a clear-eyed conversation. Look, I appreciate her values. I share those values. That is why I do not want the Democratic leadership picking candidates. It is because I care about those children too. We should have a clear-eyed conversation. We should have a clear-eyed conversation about why the ideology that governs the Democratic Party establishment today has failed. We should have a clear-eyed conversation about the kinds of changes the Democratic Party needs to become responsive to the people who should be its natural constituency. You know, African-American women are showing declining support for the Democratic Party according to polls. Millennials are showing declining support for the Democratic Party according to polls. Turnout among Democratic base voter groups is lagging. We have this mythology that if we talk about making the Democratic Party more working class, we're talking about the quote-unquote working class. Well, I got news for you. Millennials are working class. Black people are working class. Latinos and Latinas are working class. Working class people come in every gender, every sexual orientation, every color, every age group. So a Democratic Party that is responsive to the needs of working people is a Democratic Party that is also appealing to its base, but it will not get there by hand-picking corporate lawyers and then tilting the playing field in their favor. That is why look, they may win in November, but they'll just lose again if they keep this up, and we're going to take them over.